Finally, President Donald Trump returned to Twitter, and this is much needed in my opinion. I know he's been trying to push Truth Social, and it's his own social media, and he wants people on there, and it's a business decision sort of for him to be more active on there. I sort of understand it, but as the President of the United States, there are things happening that are more important than making your own social media a success. And restricting yourself off of a platform like X, which Elon Musk thankfully purchased and has made more free. I won't say completely free because there are certain words you still can't use on there, certain things you still can't say without getting your account restricted. I found that out firsthand. But it's more free than most other social media platforms where you can openly at least discuss political events and not have to worry about being restricted or banned just because you have a certain take on things. And President Donald Trump needs to become an active part of that social forum once again. And you can see the response that has happened over the last couple tweets from him on there. Now that he seems to be returning on there, just look at some of these posts. There are 33 million impressions. This one has 44 million. This one, 23 million. And this is the one that I want to address right here, because this is President Donald Trump finally receiving our call to action. On Thanksgiving, I was busy stuffing my face and Trump was busy just tapping away on his phone just like it was 2016 again. This is the Trump we want. I'm going to read this to you and break it down because this is perhaps one of the most important tweets he's ever put out. He says, "A very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid when it comes to immigration. The official United States foreign population stands at 53 million people, according to a census, most of which are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels." Now, here's the worst part about that. I can never remember the total population of America, but we are somewhere at, 350 million? And so if it's true that our population currently is 53 million immigrants, illegal and otherwise, what that means is 1 out of every 7 people you come across in America is currently an immigrant. And that number is just far too many. Again, this is a reality that people don't want to hear. But immigration, diversity is not our strength. It's not that immigration shouldn't be allowed to some degree. But what we've done is, especially under Biden, but even under Trump's first admin, under Bush, post 1965, I'd even say, we have allowed far too many people into this country, all in the name of adding value to our economy. And it's not working. It's harming Americans. And he's also not wrong when it comes to welfare. I've done previous stories on SNAP benefits during the government shutdown, and I will never forget this chart that I discovered while doing my research on that. Just take a look at the breakdown here. There are 42 million people receiving SNAP benefits, and of those 42 million, only 12.6 million of them are Americans receiving the SNAP benefits. Look at the breakdown of people. Surprise, surprise, wow. Afghans are at 45.6% when it comes to households receiving SNAP benefits. Of course, that makes me think immediately of that Afghan who just shot 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. Guess what? He was married with 5 children and very likely receiving all kinds of welfare. He was living in subsidized housing. Wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that his entire family was being fed off of SNAP benefits. So we're paying to house people that kill us, we're paying to feed people that kill us, and we're paying for these people to survive in a country that they despise. But I want to keep going, just for the sake of rage, because it pisses me off. The next on the list are Somalis. You know, the people defrauding our government and our welfare programs in Minnesota. The people defrauding so much that they're sending $1.7 billion back to Somalia, which is higher than their total GDP. Their country's GDP doesn't even total that. The Somalis here in America defraud our government so efficiently in states like Minnesota that they generate enough money to send back that literally doubles their country's GDP, because alone their country's not even generating that much money. That's how pathetic that is. I mean, these Somalis, I just did a story on them. You can check out the video. They were defrauding children with autism. They have no shame because, again, they don't give a about us. Their representatives like Ilhan Omar in Congress, we're going to get to her in a second, are openly Somalia first. What do we have third on this list? Iraqi. Then we have Dominicans, and then Caribbeans, and then Native Americans, and then Puerto Ricans, and Cubans, and then black people, and Arabs, and Cambodians, and Haitian, Pacific Islander. It just keeps going. You know who's at the bottom of the list? First and foremost, the Indians at the very bottom there. Kudos to them, but not even fully because, again, why would they need to be on benefits? They all come in and steal our jobs. But they're at 4.4%. Then you have Italians, the good old Italians. We love Italians. They were the bricklayers. They helped build all of our cities. Good people. And then third, you have white people at 8.6%. Trump's tweet is 100% spot on so far, but he didn't stop there. I'm going to keep reading it because this was probably the best tweet I've seen put out from him all year long. They and their children are supported through massive payments from patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause any trouble in any way, shape, or form. They put up with what has happened to our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. A migrant earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family. The real migrant population is much higher. This refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II, failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. And again, I just want to point out, in 2023 alone, Somalis sent back $1.7 billion to their home country, which is more than the Somali government's budget for the entire year. You can even see it says, according to reports, an estimated 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. Gee, I wonder what they're all doing here. The Somali fraud rings have sent huge sums in remittances or money transfers from Minnesota to Somalia. And what does President Donald Trump have to say about this? Well, he goes on. He says, the seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congressman and congresswoman in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab, and who probably came into the USA illegally in that you are not allowed to marry your brother, does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, and how badly she is treated when her place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation, which is essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, schools, etc. And when it comes to the authenticity of Ilhan Omar, whether or not she's married her brother, the reports are still not entirely confirmed. However, Steven Crowder has apparently received marriage documents that he insists prove that Ilhan Omar did in fact marry her brother in order to gain citizenship in America. And so it's still a debated topic, unfortunately. But I gotta say, under the Trump administration, which now has complete control of our government, essentially, this needs to be investigated because Ilhan Omar truly is one of the worst representatives in our country. She hates Americans. She hates white people, despite marrying one, apparently, after, of course, breaking off her marriage with her quote-unquote brother, which we can't prove. But despite all of that, she's the worst, and she's openly Somalia first, America last. She thinks our country needs to change. It doesn't get worse than having that as a representative, and she's a living example, in my opinion, of why first-generation immigrants, even second-generation ones, should not be allowed to serve or hold any political office in this country. They do not assimilate, and then they use their elected power to advocate for their home country more than the American people within their districts or states. It's a disgrace, and it's honestly disgusting, and Americans are sick of it. And if Ilhan Omar has in fact married her brother and gained citizenship then technically illegally, just deport her. Just get her out. Don't worry about coming across as a tyrant. The Democrats already call Trump a tyrant. There's nothing you can do about it. They're never going to change their opinion. Nothing you do, or especially don't do, will sway them otherwise. That's the rhetoric and narrative that they're hell-bent on maintaining for the entirety of Trump's presidency. They will not drop that narrative. They will be lying in wait for every little thing Trump does to call him a fascist and a tyrant and an authoritarian, no matter what he does or doesn't do. So why? Why would you restrict yourself to try to win over the media and the press? Most Americans, by the way, see right through that bullshit anyway. Young generations do not watch the news, and for good reason. And so when things like this Ilhan Omar topic come up of, wow, she might not even be here legally because she may have married her brother, just deport her. That's it. Bottom line. Trump would finish up by saying, even as we have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains and living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. Like I said, probably the best tweet he'll have wound up putting out all year. Perhaps one of the best tweets he winds up putting out his entire presidency. This is what Americans have truly been asking for, at least those on the right and most of the independents, I would dare say. And, you know, for all of the Democrats out there crying about this, we've got news for you. The president has far more power than you'd like to believe, because the Democrats are already crying about denaturalizing citizens. But the fact of the matter is, yes, President Trump and his administration can, in fact, denaturalize citizens. He can revoke green cards. He can deport people pretty much at will. And I love it. It's about time, because it's long overdue. We are literally being invaded from within. It's been said that America cannot be conquered by any outside force, and that if America is to fall, it will fall from within. And the biggest problem that we are currently facing is literally of our own doing collectively. Perhaps you can't blame most Republicans for this, but collectively, we are our own undoing when it comes to allowing all of these foreigners into our country who do not give a rat's ass about our culture, our way of life, our society, our freedoms, our religion, none of it. And the end result is what we're starting to see here if it's not dealt with. National Guardsmen being killed in our nation's capital right around the corner from the White House. Jobs being stolen from right out underneath us, which again, President Trump needs to deal with. Those H-1B visas, they need to end. Because guess what? India is technically a third world country too. So if you want to stop immigration from all third world countries, India better find itself on that list, Mr. President. But we need to stop it. Americans are struggling way too much for living what is supposed to be, quote unquote, the land of the free. This is supposed to be the greatest nation in the world, and Gen Zers still currently feel like they'll never own a home. Millennials still can't buy a home. Millennials are supposed to be in the home buying age. They can't buy a home. Rent's gone up too much. Groceries are still too expensive. And yes, a large part of that is directly able to be pinned on all of the mass immigration this country has undergone over the last, I would say, decade and a half, maybe even more than that. So this is a long overdue post. Now the thing is, will the president actually follow through on this? Because truthfully, talk is cheap. I want to see action finally. Now, of course, liberals are freaking out about this Trump tweet and the messaging. They're freaking out about the fact that Trump is finally going to follow through on the campaign promise of immigration reform, immigration policy change, deportations being ramped up. They can't handle it. They're crying about how apparently Vermont is going to really suffer from this one.
This is really the worst case scenario for every Afghan immigrant in this country. You know from covering immigrants and other marginalized communities that often when these episodes happen, folks kind of hold their breath, praying that it isn't someone who holds their identity, right? Because often there is this reflex to to demonize entire communities. And so if you've never had that experience of sort of holding your breath, that's something to think about. But I just got off the phone with Molly Gray. She is the executive director of the Vermont Afghan Alliance. And actually, she tells me that Vermont is home to the largest population of Afghans in the nation per capita. And so she does work with these communities. They are frightened. Some of them are not leaving their homes out of fear of retribution. But also, many of them are deeply integrated into the small towns across the state at this point. And she says from a real practical perspective, the state is very reliant on Afghans and the immigrant workforce because of the shrinking workforce and very small tax base in the state.
Thank you for helping make the argument for me on why all of these people need to be deported. Because apparently there are so many of these people in our country now that some of our entire state economies are dependent on them. That's not a good argument to present. That is just an eyebrow raiser. That makes it sound even worse. And truthfully, it helps fortify my position on why we need to get them out of this country now. It should be Americans who are overwhelmingly the reason for a good and healthy economy. We don't need foreigners in this country to boost our economy. It should never be that way. We just need a stronger and better economy. And we need a return to better values in this country. And what even is a Vermont Afghan Alliance? Why does that exist? All of these special interest and lobbies and protectionist groups, they're so stupid. America first, America only. That must be the creed going forward. Because otherwise you get stupid crap like this. And it's always the women that push this nonsense with their suicidal empathy. Oh, what about the poor disenfranchised Afghans? I mean, they're a war-torn country. We really should bring them into this nation and feed them and clothe them and house them. What about our own veterans? Why do I see so many homeless veterans? Why have I received so many comments on this channel, this small channel? I've received comments several times over the past year from our veterans talking about how they're being priced out of the housing market. Not even owning a home, mind you. They're being priced out of renting. We need to take care of our own. I gotta be honest with you. I truthfully don't give a flying about Afghan immigrants in America. I just don't. And I will smile as I watch them all be deported. It's time to fix this economy. And the number one way we're gonna do that, in my opinion, is mass deportations. Because the law of supply and demand dictates the more people you have after something, the more in demand something is, the higher the price is. And there are so many more things at play when it comes to our economy than just immigration, but it is certainly one of the leading causes for why everything is too expensive. Not to mention, it's more expensive for Americans, all the while these people are leeching off of our systems and getting all of their for free, and they show their gratitude by apparently killing us. It's bullshit, and we need to tell stupid women like this to just shut the up already. Our Department of Homeland Security X page says it the best. The stakes have never been higher, and the goal has never been more clear. Remigration now. And then they post a link on how you can help arrest them. I love it. ICE.gov. And if you know of any illegal immigrants in your community, I don't care if they're a 93-year-old abuela grandma. I don't care if they're a 9-year-old innocent little school child. If they're illegal, you call ICE and you get them deported. It's time to save this nation. None of them belong here. Doesn't matter how innocent you think they are. They're all criminals by nature because all of them who are here illegally are illegal. They broke the law coming here. It doesn't matter if they follow every law going forward after that. They're criminals. And it's not even like we punish them with our justice system. Deportation is a civil punishment. We're very kind to them, in all honesty. Just forcing them to go back where they live. And I want to see, that's the goal for 2026. It needs to be Trump's goal. Ramp up the deportations. Hire thousands upon thousands of more ICE officers. That's where our taxpayer money can go and actually benefit. Hire the ICE officers. And don't stop there. Put out bounties on all illegal immigrants and allow bounty hunters to go after them. All while continuing to encourage, of course, self-deportation, because people will argue, well, bounty hunters are going to make it so much more dangerous. Yeah, it will. But you know how any illegal immigrant can avoid being put in the line of danger like that? They can self-deport. Trump is such a sweet old man. I mean, truly, he's way nicer than I would be in this circumstance. He's literally paying these people to self-deport. He pays for their travel costs. Last time I checked, they were giving them, what, $1,000 for a nice, comfortable return flight home? You can literally check in on an app and say, yeah, I'm here illegally. I do like this country, though. I want a shot of coming back legally again, so I'm going to deport myself right now. And they'll go, no problem. Here's $1,000 for your travels. Come back and reapply for citizenship the correct way. That is so kind. I wouldn't extend that kind of a courtesy. I don't give a damn about these people like Trump does. Trump truly is a generous, sweet old man. And so that's how they can avoid all of this. But in the meantime, if they're not willing to do that, then call in the bounty hunters and hire tens of thousands of more ICE agents. If you enjoyed that clip, be sure to check out my YouTube channel where I have the full video where this clip was taken from published. And if you're America First like I am and you're an American advocate, be sure to subscribe and like the post. Thanks so much for watching.